I just want more places to visit. That's all I want. I want new vegetables.
Oh my god. I will say though, Stardew is great for a game that has been out for a really long time and still once in a while the new content comes out. I love it.
It's amazing.
It's
amazing.
great.
And honestly, it's my like research happy place. We're going to be covering a new fun person on the show soon. So I've been watching some documentaries, playing Stardew. It's a good time, and I'll keep you guys posted. Hello everyone. I'm Dina.
And I'm Charlotte.
Welcome to the Grim Curriculum Extra
Welcome.
Credit. We've had a crazy time. We got updates. Gypsy Rose, pregnant. We're not going to touch on it too much, but she's going to be a mommy.
I have thoughts. I'm sure you guys probably kind of get the gist of where our thoughts are on the matter already based on the times we've spoken about Gypsy Rose before. Can't say that it would have been my choice, but
she has a public baby registry. The value of the items in said baby registry is around $3 million. Apparently lots of Grogu items. She likes Baby Yoda.
Oh, Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
There's also some, if there wasn't enough controversy by who she is alone, there's a lot of controversy around this in the sense that she previously has broken off with her husband.
Very recently,
which kind of, throws a few wrenches in the works, I feel, in the sense that she was released into his custody as a parolee. And then also, I believe in the state she's in, you can't get a divorce while you're pregnant.
Thanks, America.
Whoa.
Yeah. And she posted, for those of you wondering if we need to call Maury, is Maury still alive?
Oh, good question. I know Jerry Springer ain't.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of sad, honestly.
You just made me sad.
What an icon.
Anyways, if Maury is alive, she has posted the sexual timeline of conception to the public. So those of you who are wondering who the baby daddy is, she ties it all the way back, and she's saying it's Ken. It's got to be Ken.
Okay. I wonder what her new man thinks about all this.
Ken's the new man.
Oh, my mistake.
Ryan is sad.
Yes.
He just posts online about how sad he is now. It's actually really depressing.
I mean...
He's a teacher.
What?
He's a teacher.
Like, do we know high school or elementary or?
Hold on.
Whoa.
I'm gonna Google this. Yeah, Gypsy Rose's now ex-husband, I guess, is a teacher. What's his name? Ryan Anderson? It's like something really like...
I still, anytime I think of him, I just think about how much he looked like her mother.
That's all I can think of.
Remarkably alike.
A lot of videos of him crying.
I feel sorry for him in a way.
I feel so sorry for him. Ryan Anderson is employed as a middle school special education teacher.
Whoa. I'm quite dumbfounded right now.
Doesn't that just kind of like,
I don't know if it's because there's sort of a history of the gentlemen that date ladies in prison. I imagined him more as a youth pastor type.
Ooh, he gives youth pastor vibes.
Which, I mean, he's still teaching young folk, so I guess that's pretty close in that sense, just without the religious aspect.
Yeah.
But poor guy.
I just don't think of him as an educator of the young. Like, I don't picture him as that.
No, I wonder how much it affected his career when all this started coming about his wife, his love.
Oh, Gypsy.
Oh, boy.
Anyways, I like really didn't want to talk about her too much. I really don't want to talk to her. I didn't want to talk about her too much on the show because I feel like we give her way too much airtime, and so does everybody else for what it's worth.
I mean,
but yeah, she is gonna have a little Gypsy Jr.
Oh boy.
And that is horrifying, friends.
I feel
absolutely horrifying.
I already feel sorry for the kid.
She says she's not gonna put it on social media. She's not gonna have it like, on TV or anything. I am going on record to say that that kid's going to be everywhere.
Yeah, I believe it when I see it.
It's going to be Life After Lockup, baby edition.
Oh, and then we start getting into the whole, like, YouTube, children, family content. Oh, no. Okay. Yep. Well, I guess we'll see if it happens. I really hope it doesn't. I hope she stays true to her word. But anyway, All new things in the ongoing saga that is Gypsy Rose
We'll
Blanchard.
find out in 7 months, I guess.
I guess so.
Whew. Anyways, other than that, Trump got shot. We're not going to talk too much about
Mm-mm.
that. That's a thing. It's been a crazy time in the world. So with that, I have good news.
Okay, good, because my first story is like quite heavy, so
Okay, I'm excited about this.
okay.
We're going back to the Titanic and not
Ooh.
in the billionaires with too much money way.
Wonderful. I am so happy to hear that.
We're going in the science way.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Science, bitch.
Right? I'm so stoked. And the funny thing is, well, funny, sure. This expedition was delayed due to the events on the Titan. So
Okay.
they finally gotten the go ahead to go back down there. It is going to be conducted by the RMS Titanic Incorporated. They're a
Okay.
Georgia-based company, and they have these salvage rights to Titanic artifacts.
Oh,
They're the
okay.
only entity out there that's legally allowed to collect things from the ship.
Gotcha.
This is going to be the 9th time that they've gone down there,
Whoa.
but it's going to be their first expedition in 14 years.
Wow. Okay, so they've definitely had some prep time for this.
Oh, absolutely. It is not going to be a manned expedition.
You know what? I feel a bit more comfortable with that, to
Me
be
too.
honest.
Send the robots down there.
Yes.
Anyways, so as we know, we talked about it before, the Titanic is not going to be around forever.
Mm-hmm.
So they are going to retrieve objects from the debris field, and they want to look at taking objects out of the ship, specifically the Marconi wireless room where the emergency calls were made.
That would be a super cool thing to preserve.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So this company owns the major exhibitions that kind of go around, the traveling ones, and the permanent ones located in Las Vegas and Orlando. So they're a big deal. They've got this shit figured out.
Okay.
They're also going to be taking new images that they're going to be comparing to the ones in 2010 to see how much everything is deteriorating.
Oh, okay. So they can kind of, what's the word? Preserve a timeline, so to speak.
Exactly. So according to them, they say the mission of the Titanic Expedition 2024 is to utilize the latest technology to continue the important work of surveying the Titanic wreck site, enhancing our understanding of its historical significance, identifying at-risk artifacts for safe recovery in future expeditions, protecting and conserving the area for future generations, furthering current scientific study, engaging in a worldwide community, and discovering and identifying new artifacts and marine life never before seen, and inspiring the next generations of explorers. Their objectives are image, discover, inspire, and honor.
I like that.
And they're doing it partially in memory to the French explorer who did pass away on the Titan. And it's very, very exciting. I am so stoked. Their website, rmstitanicinc.com, has virtual tours of the ship.
I love a good virtual tour. Yes.
Virtual tours, other exhibitions. And just a ton of information. There's like fun trivia. There are learning guides for junior high, elementary, high school students. Like, everything is on there. It's amazing. As you all know, I love the Titanic, and I will take a moment to plug our Titanic series.
Oh, yeah.
Episodes 50 to 53. Check them out.
Yeah, that was a good time. And Dina honestly put so much freaking time and effort into the research for those ones.
I love the Titanic, man.
Yeah.
I have my little like Titanic collection of things. I was lucky enough to meet the relative of the youngest survivor on the ship, who lives in Edmonton.
The
blows
coincidence
my mind.
there, yes.
Yeah, I got to join her for birthday lunch for her 104th birthday.
Amazing.
Yeah, so super exciting. I am thrilled about this. I can't wait, and we'll keep you posted because it's happening this month.
I could see in 20, 30 years, because they're saying probably in the next 30 years or so there is going to be very little of the Titanic left, just because of the way it's deteriorating. I would almost wonder, or I would hope to see, I mean, I'll be an old lady by then, in theory, um, that they do some kind of reconstruction in the same area, maybe like 50 years from now, if the ocean levels are still high enough to
Mm-hmm.
support that kind of thing, where you can go and explore and maybe see almost like a replica of what happened.
It would be amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
as it stands right now, they're kind of in a rush to just get everything they can before it's
Yes.
gone.
Yeah.
And they've accepted that fate. But I think, first time in 14 years, it's been a while. They've been going down there since 1994, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's super cool, really exciting. I wanted to start us off on a hopeful and happy note before you grim us right back down.
Yeah, so I had not heard of this story. It's a local one to Edmonton, and trigger warning, this particular story does include sexual assault. I wanted to talk about Larry Takahashi, who is also known as the Balaclava Rapist. I had not heard of this fella. He was very active during the 70s and 80s, as were many criminals of his caliber, if you will. His crimes took place here in Edmonton, where we are from, and he earned his nickname because he literally wore a balaclava with only eyes visible while he performed awful and horrendous acts. They think on potentially over 100 women.
That is fucking horrifying.
He is a vile individual. This also added to his victims' terror, and it, of course, made him very difficult to identify. The reason we're talking about him today, the reason he even became known to me, is I saw an article from CBC saying that after 3 decades, he has received parole.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I hate that so much.
Yeah, he received parole back in 2016, but almost pretty much immediately violated his parole, which sent him back to prison in 2017.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. The specifics of his parole violations back in 2017 included unauthorized contact with women and not adhering to the curfew set by his parole conditions.
Oh my God.
They basically raised some significant questions about public safety, and they were like, yeah, you are not allowed to be out in public anymore. You have breached your conditions. However, as of July 15th, or I should say, the board's decision was made on June 25th, but released to the media July 15th. They say that his psychological assessment concludes his risk to reoffend either sexually or violently is, quote, relatively low or well below average.
Well below average.
I'm sorry, anything above 0 is too fucking high.
I feel like if you are bad enough where you get the name the Balaclava Rapist, you don't get to be out.
He was serving 3, well, or rather, I should say, he was sentenced to 3 life terms plus 73 years in prison. So tell me how he had a possibility of parole in the first place. The Canadian justice system, ladies and gentlemen.
No life sentences here, friends. We talk about it
No.
all the time.
He is 71 years old now. They have said that he has demonstrated prolonged stability at the home where he lives and is highly motivated to reintegrate safely back into society. His plan for parole includes living in a home that he has rented in a location that has not been disclosed for obvious reasons. And apparently he is able to support himself financially. I do not know how. This makes me really upset. And we could definitely do a full episode on this guy.
Unreal.
He is gnarly. He is believed to have attacked at least 29 women, but they're saying the true number of his victims was probably closer to 100.
Well, that's the thing with sexual assault cases. You have people who are going to report it, but the majority of victims, sadly, they don't. And I think that they don't for reasons like this.
Exactly. The scary thing about Takahashi is that the acts of violence that he committed against women weren't just random attacks. He would break into his victims' homes either late at night or early in the morning hours. He was meticulous in his planning. He planned his attacks.
Oh.
He would do stuff like disable the phone lines, and he would always ensure that his victims were home alone. And the brutal and prolonged assaults often lasted for hours. This guy was nasty, nasty. To our current knowledge, he hasn't murdered anyone, but I don't think that means he should be released from prison. I don't care if you're 71 years old, you gave up your right to live amongst society. Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness.
And you know what's crazy is I'm gonna tie him into someone we're talking a lot about lately, Paul
Of
Bernardo,
course.
who is up for day parole very,
Mm-hmm.
very, very often.
Yep.
And I see guys like this where, like you said, we don't know, we don't think he's murdered anybody, but he has ruined many, many,
Yes.
many countless lives. And when I see guys like him being released, it really makes me wonder, are we going to see Paul Bernardo get released in, our lifetime or his lifetime, I guess? But it worries me because if this guy's getting out, who's to say Paul Bernardo can't get out?
Well, and the thing is, we've come to a point, like I said, this guy was operating in the 70s and 80s. I had not heard of him. I was not around in the 70s and 80s, but we're coming to a point now where there's a lot of violent offenders in prison.
Yeah.
Where our generation has no idea they even exist.
Yeah.
But they are starting to come up for parole. And like you just said, if this guy can get out on day parole, now he will be on parole for the rest of his life. He's serving out the rest of his sentences on parole.
Okay, so really the rest of his life.
The rest of his life. He will be monitored until the day he freaking dies. But yeah, who's to say that Paul Bernardo can get out or some violent freaking offender we haven't even heard of yet?
We see it all the time. We really do. And it's concerning because, I mean, when we have these cases, like you said, that happened in the 70s and the 80s, the time has gone by. We don't have necessarily like a life without parole happening here. So I mean, really, like it's horrifying.
Yeah, I guess unless they die in prison, which does happen, yeah, there is still that possibility that they could be walking out not completely free to do as they please, but still out amongst the public. And that, I don't know, that gives me the heebie-jeebies. I
Oh my
do
God,
not
me
like
too.
that.
Right, especially not knowing like where is he working? What is he doing? Like I don't like it.
No, it's funny. You said something when we recorded part 2 of Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka in the sense that when apparently Canadians do crime, we do crime in a very big way.
We do, yep.
That's a very unfortunate thing to say. But yeah, Mr. Takahashi, I hope you disappear and we never hear from you again.
I think about people a lot like Vince Lee, for example. He is known for cutting a man's head off on a Greyhound bus and then eating pieces of it while everyone watched in horror. He's out.
Oh, yeah.
You look at Matthew DeGrood, who was the son of a police chief who stabbed, I think, 5 high schoolers or like high school age kids at a house party. He's out. You know what I mean? Like it's shocking to me that we see this happen again and again because I feel like this might be controversial. I don't know. Please let me know your thoughts, by the way, thegrimcurriculum@gmail.com, and you as well, Charlotte, because I feel like in the States, we see people serving life sentences for, the 3 strikes rule, cannabis possession, dealing drugs, this and that. Whereas in Canada, you see people kill numerous people and get out. And it's just like, it's 2 sides of the spectrum and neither is right, in my opinion, because I think it's like you said, when you commit certain crimes, you don't get to be amongst people anymore. Your human card is revoked.
Yeah. The thing is, we've seen throughout history, humans are absolutely capable of incredible acts of violence across the board, however you want to break it down. If someone can do something like that once, it again proves that they're capable of it. But it's like if you have assaulted upwards of 100 people, you've proved that you've done it again and again and again. And I don't think again, yes, you like you say, this might be a hot take. I think there are some things that there is no rehabilitation for.
Agreed.
They have said that he has completed his courses and that they're convinced that he should be able to reintegrate into society at the age of 71. But then again, you've spent 30 years in prison, my guy. How out of touch are you now, along with everything else? I don't know. It gives me something else to worry about in this world.
And with that being said, it kind of ties into my next story.
Okay.
A woman from Missouri, I said that weird.
Missouri.
A woman from Missouri?
Missouri.
Why is that like a made up word in my mind right now? Do you ever get like that?
Oh, I'm a designer. I see words and they lose all meaning after a while.
She spent 43 years in prison, and she is now free after her murder conviction was overturned.
After 43
43
years.
years.
Whoa.
Her name is Sandra Hem. She is now 64 years old. She left prison just a few days ago here, and they really didn't want to release her, apparently. They were arguing against it. She was the longest held, wrongly incarcerated woman known in the U.S.
Whoa. So she has obviously her case has been overturned, but they did not want to let her out.
Yes, I'll explain why.
Okay.
The St. Joseph Police Department ignored evidence pointing to a man named Michael Holman, a fellow police officer who died in 2015, about being responsible for the murder of a local librarian.
Oh my God.
So the prosecution wasn't told about FBI results that could have cleared her. It was never disclosed before her trials. Evidence presented to the judge showed that Michael Holman's pickup truck was seen outside the victim's apartment. He tried to use her credit card, and her earrings were found in his home. However, no witnesses linked her to the murder, the victim, or the crime scene. She had absolutely no motive. There was no evidence that the two had ever met. There was no physical or forensic evidence linking her to the killing. The only evidence connected to her was a false confession. Statements taken from her while she was being treated at a state psychiatric hospital, and she was forcibly given medication that was literally designed to overcome her will.
Oh God.
So, guy was a cop.
So she took the fall for this motherfucker.
She took the fall, and the issue with her freedom, like you mentioned before, was she received some sentences for crimes that she committed behind bars. So she received a 10-year sentence in 1996 for attacking a prison worker with a razor blade.
Woof.
And a 2-year sentence in 1984 for, quote, offering to commit violence, which they started saying that because of that, she poses a safety risk to herself and others, and that she should start serving those sentences afterwards.
Oh.
However, you see cases a lot where someone is incarcerated for something small, and then shit goes down while you're in jail, and those new sentences, they get tacked on, and before you know it, you're serving life. And in her case, 43 years. Now, the thing that's really sad about this is, like we talked about with the balaclava rapist, is he's got a job, he's got a place, this and that. Miss Sandra here is not eligible for any kind of government support due to the fact that she was incarcerated for so long.
So she's probably going to end right back up in prison again.
It's very sad. Luckily for her, she does have family support.
Oh, okay, good,
So
good.
Thankfully, she is with her daughter, her grandchildren. She is with family. But the fact that she was like, I think that if you're falsely incarcerated, the government owes you some money.
I agree. I 100% agree. And maybe this is a hot take on it. Like you say, sometimes shit goes down in prison.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have been able to commit those crimes if she hadn't been in prison in the first place.
That's just it. And it's the whole story itself seems like a terrible cover up. I feel for her so much because it's just really a worst case scenario. This is a nightmare.
No kidding. I'm sure she's very happy to be out, but I'm sure there is some sense of, well, I would imagine a huge part of her is angry at the sense that the guy who did do it, he's dead. Yeah. He's never going to be held accountable for what she went through. And also the fact that he murdered someone.
Well, that's just it.
As a police officer.
So, I mean, she's not doing any interviews. It sounds like she just wants to go live a peaceful life.
I don't blame her at all. A la the opposite of Gypsy Rose.
Exactly. Hold on. I don't know if that's being picked up, but Puffin the bird is having a time behind us. They all got new treats and like all sorts of stuff today, and like they're just really happy. If you guys can hear him, that's a happy bird.
That is a happy bird.
Anyways, so I mean, I wish her well.
Yeah, you know what? I like you say, I hope that she's able to go off with her family, get the support she needs. Yeah. I hope she's able to live a happy rest of her life. From what it sounds like I said, she didn't deserve to be in prison in the first place. So yes, on one hand, she did commit crimes in prison, and I could totally see them being like, yeah, Missy, you need to actually serve those out.
Yeah.
But again, she wouldn't have committed those crimes if she wasn't in prison in the first place. So
Gypsy Rose has a fucking Lifetime show and she's having a baby and all that stuff, and poor Sandra here is not getting a penny. And it's interesting because, like, once you're falsely incarcerated, like I said, they should be giving you $1 million. I don't care. $1 million. That's it.
minimum.
Yeah,
Take
exactly.
minimum wage and then back fucking tax that for the
Yeah.
time you've been in jail, and that's what you should get.
So that's my story about Miss Sandra. Like I said, I wish her well. She is out. She's been out as of July 19th. When she was released, she ran into the arms of her family and they hugged. And
I'm glad that as much as it took this long, she did get out in the end.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's like a movie moment, you know?
Yeah, that's a lifetime wasted. It really is.
It is.
And sounds like she didn't have the best time in jail either.
No.
So I mean, it's a nightmare, and it kind of shows, like, I don't want to say it could happen to anyone, but
it could happen to anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
You hope that the people out there have no malicious intent towards you, but
Yeah.
hey, sometimes you're just a fall guy. Look at the West Memphis 3.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
I will say before we go on to our next subject that this was all thanks to the Innocence Project.
I feel like I've heard of the Innocence Project.
I mean, they got Kim Kardashian on their side now, right?
They're doing some good work.
Yeah, they are. If you go to their website and look at the cases that they have worked and they are working, holy crap, is it depressing? They've got one guy who served 24 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's really sad. They're an amazing organization. I've heard that they are going to be, we talked about this before, helping the Menendez brothers. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but yeah.
All right. What do you know about the nun study, if anything?
The nuns, like N-U-N?
Yeah, the nun study.
I know none about the nun study.
Oh, excellent. So this is actually really cool. It came to my attention because I learned that somewhere in the world, there's a storage room with just under 700 nuns' brains stored. Now, that sounds really ominous and scary, and you're like probably imagining some sort of Frankenstein lab with jars on the walls. It's not quite like that, but it definitely piqued my interest.
I
but
can see why.
It's actually a really, really fantastic research project that was started in 1986 by Dr. David Snowden, and it investigates aging and Alzheimer's disease. This study involves 678 Catholic nuns from the School Sisters of Notre Dame congregation, and they volunteered to participate by providing access to their medical and personal records and agreeing to annual cognitive and physical assessments. And then upon their death or passing, they have agreed to donate their brains for analysis.
Dang.
Yeah, so it's a super, super cool project. I kind of tricked you guys. It's not quite as grim as it makes it out to see.
It's a room full of brains, Charlotte.
I'll actually show you. Really. I'll show you the picture and then I'll show
Holy
Patreon.
Crap. What? Hold on, let me see this.
Yeah. So the wild thing is they're not in like glass jars like you might expect. They're in sort of like soup takeout containers.
This looks like something you would find at a farmer's market.
Yeah.
Like, hold on. Patreon, please. Take a peek at that. Like, that looks like, here,
we're squidge up there, yeah. So
they're
like
plastic bins.
Now when I order like takeout ramen,
yeah,
that's what the broth comes in. So it's kind of freaky to look at, but they have made some really excellent progress when it comes to brain disease research. Not all of the nuns have passed on yet. Like I said, this has been going on since 1986, and they had a criteria. You had to be of a certain age. And it was kind of funny when I was reading the studies and articles about it, because some nuns at the time were too young to participate, and they were actually really disappointed that they couldn't participate in it at this time.
If my girls were giving up their brains, I'd want to be a part of
it. Absolutely. And I was also shocked. These are Catholic nuns. It was interesting to me to see a group of very religious people, very pious people, take such an interest in scientific study, which I thought was super, super cool.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why nuns?
Well, it's because they spend their time all together for their entire lives.
Okay.
They're never really traveling too far from home, so they're probably always going to be where you need them for that yearly checkup.
Oh God, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Also, the School Sisters of Notre Dame, where the nuns who agreed to participate in the study are from, it's a worldwide religious institute of Roman Catholic sisters. It was founded in Bavaria in 1833, and it's devoted to primary, secondary, and post-secondary education. So the jobs of the nuns, as well as their nunly duties, they do focus on prayer, community life, and ministry, of course, but they're also teachers, lawyers, accountants, nurses, administrators, therapists, social workers, and social justice advocates, and more. So while they are nuns, they all very much have careers of their own. And overall, findings of the nun study indicated multiple factors concerning expression of Alzheimer's trait. And they basically said, the more active you keep your brain, the more you read and write throughout your life, the less likely you will be to suffer from the effects of dementia and Alzheimer's, even when your brain may show disease lesions, as it will over time. As we age, things slow down. It's been really interesting. I really liked this. Sister Celine Cocteau, who is 96 years old, she was a biology teacher before she retired, so this really appealed to her. And she says that she hopes researchers will be able to use her brain to find cures for diseases. The university is going to continue testing the remaining 50 or so living sisters who are enrolled, and then obviously their brains will also become part of the collection. And they're now hoping that a second study, which will start after the first, will kind of piggyback onto it, but they're hoping not just to focus on Alzheimer's, but like Parkinson's disease, MS, all that kind of stuff too. So yeah, somewhere in the world, there's about 700 brains in a little lab, all being studied for Alzheimer's and stuff, and they all belong to ladies of the church.
I just can't get over the containers. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When you said it, I'm picturing like something out of Futurama.
Well, yes. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Literally the talking heads. I'm picturing sort of like Young Frankenstein, where it's like abnormal.
Yeah, seriously. That if you had asked me to guess what they're being kept in, it wasn't like, I mean, they're giving you their brains, friends. Like you could at least do a glass jar.
Yeah, I guess so. So they're considered obviously wet specimens, but they do take dry specimens from them as well. And they'll continue to do analysis on them until hopefully we find cures for things or preventions for things. But yeah, shout out to the ladies of the Sister of Notre Dame congregation.
Shout out, ladies.
They are doing shit for science.
They sure are. Good for them. All right. With that being said, this brings us to our latest strange and unusual death.
Oh, yes. I cannot wait.
Now, this death occurred in March of 2024, so not too long ago.
Yeah.
And it happened in Bengaluru.
Where is that in the world?
In India.
Ah, that makes sense.
All right. So, in an unusual incident, a 24-year-old man known only as Yogesh passed away due to the result of a prank.
This probably
it's just a prank, bro.
I fucking hate. I don't like pranks. Never prank me.
No.
I'm not even kidding. I don't think it's funny. I don't.
The only prank that's funny is a whoopee cushion.
I'm good with like harmless shit like, oh, it's our birthday, so we filled our office with balloons or whatever. Yeah, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
But like, don't freaking throw water in my face when I come home from a long day of work or like, shit like that. I hate that.
Yeah. Pranks aren't fun. And that's not even a hot take. I'm sure most people would agree.
Yeah.
Anyways, this one was definitely not fun.
Oh, dear.
So, Yogesh used to work in a vehicle repair and service center. His friend Murali took a bike in for servicing at the service center to get it fixed and washed. So Yogesh repaired the bike and he washed it, and he was drying the vehicle with a heavy-duty air compressor and electric blow dryer.
Oh no.
The two were chatting, they were having fun, and Morale started blowing the air onto Yogesh's face, and he didn't like this. So he's shielding his face, he's trying to get away from this, they're laughing.
Yeah.
They're just laughing at each other.
Yeah.
So he turns around and bends over.
Oh no. No.
Morale then kept blowing the hot air and aiming it at Yogesh's anus, which eventually entered his rectum. Now, the pipe was not very close to him, but the air pressure was so high that it ruptured his anus and he started bleeding profusely. He then fell unconscious and was rushed to the hospital. His intestines were completely damaged due to the high pressure from the blow dryer, and he was taken for an emergency operation, but he did not respond to it and he died. He was also working as a delivery guy. He was living with his grandmother. A case has been filed at the local police station calling it culpable homicide. Morale has been arrested, and they are waiting for postmortem reports to see how much the organs were damaged.
Jesus Christ on ice skates. Yep. What the fuck?
Isn't that crazy?
Boys will be boys.
I guess.
Oh my God. You know, when you said he turned around, I knew where it was going, but I didn't realize the damage that was going to be caused. That is horrific.
Yeah. And I mean, like, he wasn't naked. Guy was wearing clothes. Like, this pierced the clothing. It was at a distance, but it was still strong enough. And poor fella, he was just trying to have fun. I'm picturing the Zoolander scene where they're like playing with the gas.
The gasoline.
Yeah, and they're doing all of that, but with air and an anus.
It's even high pressure washers that you would use for your car or for cleaning concrete or whatever. That shit will cut through your hands.
Oh,
it will cut through your flesh.
It is high pressure.
High pressure. Even I thought that this was going to take more of like, oh, he got a large amount of blood or a large amount of blood into his bloodstream. I would hope so. A large amount of oxygen into his bloodstream, which obviously we know when oxygen is injected into a vein, a high amount can cause death. I thought it was going to take that route. Not that it fucked up his insides.
Oh, yeah. Ripped him apart.
Jesus Christ. I'm sure his friend, he must feel so terrible.
Well, yeah.
I don't know that in my personal opinion, homicide, I think it would be more of a manslaughter thing. I'm sure he didn't blow air up his ass with the idea of killing him.
He didn't come in there being like, he washed my bike, I'm gonna get him good.
I really don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
It literally just a horrible accident. I could not have made that up if you had asked me to.
I know. I was looking through the cases for this episode and I saw that and I was like, Charlotte's gonna want to hear this.
I guess the lesson here is don't fuck around and find out with air compressors, guys.
Don't point things at people's butts unless it's with their consent and you're just trying to have a good time in the bedroom.
And maybe don't bring air compressors into it.
Don't do that either.
Please don't do that. I mean, we're not doctors, but like, please don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Who are we to say? But I mean, I feel like you just shouldn't. Anyways, rest in peace, Yogesh. Gone too soon.
Gone too soon indeed. Gone before he expected. That's for damn sure. Yeah. He did not expect that when he showed up to work that day.
Nope.
Poor Yogesh.
Just goes to show life is short.
Life is short, but shorter when you fuck around with air compressors.
True that.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
I think you're right. We're recording in the studio. It is, I said we weren't going to talk about the weather, but you've made it long enough, dear listeners.
We are hot to go right now.
Yeah, it's, I feel like the entire planet's on fire right now. It's terrible. It is 32 degrees outside. It's probably closer to fucking 40 something in here. It is hot.
Yeah.
But that being said, wherever you're listening, give us a thumbs up, give us a 5-star rating, leave a comment, share it. You know the drill. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, TikTok. Where are we? Instagram. And yeah, check us out.
We're probably there. If you just type the Grim Curriculum into your Google search bar. I'm sure it'll get you where you need to go.
Yeah, and if you want to see video versions of the episode, sign up for our Patreon. We have a free tier where you get early episode reveals. Not only that, there is a week-long free trial you can sign up for so you can watch some episodes and not have to pay a dime.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to stick around, then of course you can subscribe. We have a couple of different tiers, but if not, that's cool too. We're just happy to have you along for the ride. It all supports us either way. So yeah, we appreciate the heck out of you guys.
We're going to be concluding our Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka series next on the regular show, and we hope you join us for that. Other than that, thank you all so much for listening. This has been the Grim Curriculum
Extra Credit.